Welcome to the writer reads The Strays of Lunar One, Book 1, The Unwilling, Chapter 25, A Hint of Lavender. When Lewis woke again, he registered two things. The first was that he felt a lot better. The second was the reality that was lavender. It put Florrie's transmission in the shade, and his eyes snapped open. He was sitting upright before he was properly awake, finding a youngish looking man standing a few feet away from the bed. "How are you feeling?" the guy asked as Lewis took in his scent. The lavender was strong enough to hide any number of scents, but the guy smelt human and male, and he was blonde. "I'll save you the trouble of asking. I'm Gabe. Florrie called Odyssey. Odyssey sent me." He crossed the room and bared his forearm, holding it toward Lewis's nose. Lewis drew back. "Take a good sniff," Gabe insisted. "This is an introduction. I'll be back, and I want you to remember me even without the lavender. Understood?" Lewis looked up and held his eyes, then nodded, taking Gabe's forearm and inhaling deeply along it. When he thought he'd remember the smell, he nodded. "Got it, I think." The man turned away. "Good. You'll know me when it's time. Until then, don't get yourself stuck in stasis. Got it?" "Wait," Lewis called, and the man turned back. "Do you—" He paused, watching as Gabe's face turned wary. Lewis didn't let that deter him. "You don't have to take us back, do you? To Odyssey, I mean." Gabe's mouth twisted in regret, and he ducked his head before lifting his gaze to fix Lewis with a firm look. "I do, and I will," he declared, "and I can't be convinced to lose you on the way." His gaze hardened. "Don't ask again." Lewis met his eyes, assessing the determination there and finding no flexibility. He sighed. "Had to ask," he murmured, and Gabe turned away. "You have my scent." His voice petered out as the door opened, then rallied again to add, "Well, you boys are back early." Lewis looked up, glad he was still seated as Aidan and his two regular escorts returned. The head hunter grabbed Gabe by the collar and yanked him from the room. "Who do you work for?" he demanded, slamming the man into the opposite wall. Mr. Oddscent and "friend" moved into the room, and Lewis watched them come. "'Bout time you got here," he said, and Odd picked him up and pinned him to the wall. "Who was he and what did he want?" "Said his name was Gabe, and you guys weren't the only ones who wanted us." "And he works for—" the guard snarled. Lewis swore he heard a chitter threading through those words. He twisted in Oddscent's grasp. Odd shook him. "Who?" he demanded, his hand tightening. Lewis growled, trying to keep the ripple of fur under his skin as the door reopened. "Odyssey," the answer came from the doorway. It was followed by, "Put him down, without breaking him." Odd's hand tightened. "Now, Caleb." A growl fringed Aidan's words. Odd shook Lewis once more, then released him, letting him fall to the bunk. Aidan stooped down and picked something up from outside the door, dragging the blonde-headed Odyssey agent inside and closing the door behind them. Gabe wheezed with pain, but he didn't bother protesting. "Hey," Lewis protested, rubbing his throat. "What are you—" This time, Aidan's growl was enough to make his hair stand on end. "We're teaching the interfering human a lesson," he snapped back, using Odd's throat grip to lift Gabe off his feet. One of the agent's legs hung limply while he lashed out with the other. Aidan reared back so that Gabe's boot caught him at the top of the chest instead of his throat. He grunted as he drove his fist into the man's middle. Odd and friend moved in and started working him over. The sight brought back memories of Lewis's treatment by Xanol Blue's pickup crew, and Lewis pushed off the bed. "Hey," he said. "Not your business, pup," Aidan told him. "Yeah, it is," Lewis retorted, bounding across the room and pulling friend away from the agent. Before the hunter could react, he'd slugged him, using everything Oliver had taught him on the ship, and putting every ounce of strength behind the blow. As the hunter fell, he grabbed Odd by the arm. If he was honest, he was looking forward to having it out with the big whatever he was. Odd planted one last blow into Gabe's chest and turned, blocking Lewis's first hit and moving in to attack. His next hit rocked the changeling back on his heels. Lewis ducked under the next hit and smashed a fist into Odd's armored side, wincing as the impact jarred up his arm. The guy was solid as. He danced back and Odd followed, lashing out with a boot as the door to the cell opened. Mr. Jericho, I must protest, made Aidan stop mid-swing. The bounty hunter turned, still holding Gabe immobile by dint of a hand around his throat. You do? The lead medic dipped his chin in acknowledgement. We do. Odyssey is one of our bigger clients. We'd rather their operatives came to no harm on our premises. Gabe grabbed at the hand around his throat, wrapping one hand around Aidan's forearm as he tried to loosen the man's grip with his other. His face was turning a sullen shade of red. Dragging down on the arm, he lashed out again, this time catching his captor in the side of the head with his boot. Aidan pivoted toward him, drawing back a fist, only to freeze at the sound of a blaster powering up. With all respect for your own client's status, the medic stated firmly, I must insist you release him. Dead or alive, Aidan snarled as he leaned into Gabe and prevented him from lashing out a second time. Alive and now, the medic told him, his voice hardening in command. Drop him. If he hadn't been so busy trying to avoid having the crap kicked out of him, Lewis might have laughed. A werewolf. Being told to. He chuckled, and Aidan glanced over. Caleb, he barked, but Lewis's guard didn't stop his swing. What, boss? I don't want him damaged. Let him go. Just because, the hunter started, and stopped as Aidan's growl ripped across the room. At the same time, the chief bounty hunter let Gabe go. Lewis watched the head hunter come, deflecting another of Odd Caleb's fists. He kept an eye on the tableau behind him, too, and saw when two of the medics helped the Odyssey agent to his feet. Mr. Arkham, let's get you to a tank, shall we? Lewis didn't hear Gabe's reply, but the medic's was clear. Understood, sir. We'll arrange it. I've called one of your private teams to collect you. He ushered the agent to the door. If you'd wait outside. As much as he didn't want to see Gabe leave, Lewis didn't remark on it. Arkham, Aidan grumbled, but he wasn't addressing the agent, and Gabe allowed himself to be led from the room. The bounty hunter stepped between Odd Caleb and Lewis. I said that was enough, Caleb. You can wait. He stopped as the medics closed the door. I'm afraid I must ask your personnel to wait inside until Mr. Arkham has been collected, the doctor told him firmly, and Lewis caught a glimpse of some of the power Buford's wielded in its own hall. Aidan ducked his head. Understood. Caleb, go stand by the door. I'll need you to take Joel to medical and have him seen to. Pup hit him hard. He looked back at Lewis. You got anything to say for yourself, pup? Lewis shook his head, relaxing a little as Caleb moved toward the door. He winced as Aidan took him by the arm and drew him close. He will not save you. Avoiding his gaze, Lewis chose not to reply. That was not what Odyssey's reputation said. If Florey had contacted them and they'd sent an agent, then the bounty hunters had better look to their contracts, because they weren't going to keep them for very long. And if they pissed off Odyssey. When Aidan ordered him to sit, he obeyed, perching on the edge of his bed and watching as the medics approached. They left no one to guard the door, and Lewis realized they'd locked themselves inside, which seemed a bit crazy given they'd just thwarted the mercenaries' attempt to deter a threat to business. This did not appear to deter them, though. They crossed the room, bringing a gurney with them. We'll take you to Mr. Landstrom's room for the transfusion, the doctor informed him. He ran an expert eye over Lewis's injuries. Is there anything we need to see to? Lewis shrugged. He was about to tell them that he hadn't been hurt when Aidan cut him off. I'd be grateful if you'd check him over and tend whatever damage he sustained. Damage, Lewis thought, as if I'm some kind of trade good in need of repair. Which he was if he thought about it. Very well, the doctor agreed, and reached under the gurney. He pulled out a hospital gown and held it up. If you would get into this, Mr. Havisham. Landstrom and Havisham, Lewis noted, not the names on the only ID they'd carried. He wondered if they had enough left in the accounts for Florrie to source them new identities. Mr. Havisham, the doctor prodded, and Lewis started, accepting the gown from his hand. He looked around. No San? Once you've been transferred, the doctor told him. Hold off on that gown. Let me take a look at you first. Lewis dropped the gown on the bed, trying to ignore the fact he was being closely watched by Aidan and Caleb. Once the doctor started poking and prodding, it wasn't hard. He drew a hissing breath as the man's hands moved over his ribs. The doctor looked from Lewis to Caleb and then to Aidan. We'll x-ray him after the transfusion. Ribs might be cracked. If they are, I'll need a fast regen, Aidan replied, adding, and I'll be taking it out of my man's bonus. Lewis saw Caleb's brows raise, but the man didn't protest. Instead, he shrugged. Worth every credit, he replied, and Aidan shot him a sharp look. Get into the gown, Mr. Havisham, the doctor instructed. We'll get you cleaned up and see to Mr. Landstrom and your ribs after. With a wary look at Caleb, Lewis did as he was told, reluctantly climbing onto the gurney after. There was exposed, and then exposed, and having less than a ship's suit between him and whatever was hiding under Caleb's skin wasn't his idea of a good time.